The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Uh-oh. Who else could it be? Me, you're me, Louie T. Welcome to the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. Of course, I'm your Commander-in-Chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. So before I turn you loose over the weekend to celebrate whatever it is you're celebrating, I wanted to come jump on, make sure that I sent you off in typical Louie T fashion, give you a little something to watch, to pass the time, whether you're watching World Cup. I know there's going to be boxing tomorrow. I'm excited about that. I don't know if y'all saw De'Ami Brown dropped a new video. So go check that out on his YouTube channel. But I wanted to throw my little 2 cents in the mix, keep the party going and the conversation going about this roster. We've been talking about individual positions and how we view them, or how I view them going into training camp. This has been one of the most interesting positions because I know I'm guilty of this, and I'm going to speak for myself. I've allowed myself to fall into the trap. I don't think this is a trap, but it could ultimately be a trap. I've allowed myself to fall into the trap of this defense doesn't need elite corners. And if it's done correctly, it doesn't. But this isn't Brian Flores' defense, and this isn't Brian Flores calling it. This is Durante Jones' defense. This is Durante Jones calling the defense. And I've fallen into the trap of, oh, the Brian Flores defense doesn't need elite corners. We saw what they did in free agency. We saw what they were trotting out there at defense in the secondary, specifically at the cornerback position in Minnesota. I saw them go sign Byron Murphy in free agency. I watched them go out and sign Isaiah Rodgers from the Eagles last year in free agency. I've seen them using Fabian Moreau and, you know, a former first-round pick that was a nothing burger in this league as depth. And that was their cornerback group. And they were just fine at corner. But it's not about surviving. It's about thriving. And I don't know if this position allows you to thrive or not. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. But I've said this before. If this doesn't work, if we walk away this year and the secondary is the reason that this defense doesn't hold up, that's on Adam Peters. But I'm going to go a step further, because I think Adam Peters was really just shopping for the groceries that he was given on a list. And I'm going to put this on Durante Jones, because we know for a fact that Durante Jones wanted Amik Robertson. You didn't have to watch but one press conference to know whose idea it was to make Amik Robertson the first free agent acquisition that this team made in 2026. You don't have to look very far. You don't have to search very wide. You know whose idea it was to go get Amik Robertson. He doesn't even fit the Adam Peters DNA profile, okay? So for me, with the corners, I looked at this cornerback group. I looked at the entire defensive backfield in free agency, and I said, and I told you guys this multiple times, if you want to build yourself a completely brand new secondary, you can do it in free agency this year. You could do it in free agency this year. It was that deep of a secondary pool to swim in. And we decided to reach in and grab a Kello Witherspoon and Amik Robertson and Nick Cross. But we're specifically talking corners right now. But if you're talking about the entire secondary, we grabbed Nick Cross, Amik Robertson, and a Kello Witherspoon. And if this shit doesn't work, Two guys are squarely in the crosshairs. Adam Peters, but I'm gonna let him off the hook a little bit. Because I feel like he was given a grocery list. Hey, these are all the items I would like. And I felt like he went out and got the items that he was told to go grab. We're going to see. Because one of the biggest areas of need after edge rusher, the defensive line was depleted after last season. You finish up a season with Von Miller, like the whole retirement, home crew of Von Miller and Preston Smith and company, right? When you finish up your defensive line with a bunch of 30-somethings, that's where the most work needed to be done. And they clearly invested a ton of resources, a draft pick, some real free agent dollars in Adafi Owe and Kaylavon Chason, Charles Omenihu, brought back Dietrich Wise. They invested in that defensive line, specifically edge rusher, drafting Josh Josephs. They didn't do that at corner. They did the opposite, actually. They went cheap. They went economical. And if it doesn't work, fingers are going to be starting to point. But if it does, just like we would be ready to go get the pitchforks and torches out if it doesn't, you better be ready to give out some praise and accolades if it does. Because this is a risky proposition. This is risky. But Durante Jones knows this defense in and out. It's his defense. He's told us, I've taken bits and pieces from this guy, that guy, and that guy, and that guy, and that guy. But a lot of it, the crux of this, the meat and potatoes of this is BFlo, the Brian Flores defense. The guy he's been studying under the last 3 years. That's the crux of what this defense is going to represent. And if it is what we've seen on tape, what we know it to be, it's going to be predicated on pressure up front, confusion, and then the guys on the back end just simply doing their jobs. As Durante Jones said, he ain't coming here and promised us we were going to take the football away. He ain't out here using a whole bunch of cliches and one-liners, right? He stayed away from that bullshit. You go, if you want a soundbite, go to Javon Kinlaw. Go to somebody else. I'm not the one. He said, what we're going to do is we're going to keep the chunk plays off the tape. He ain't coming here and promise us a whole bunch of takeaways and ball is life and all of that bullshit. Something we can take and run with and clip it off and make a soundbite out of. Everybody loved that it ain't where you line up, is where you wind up. That happened on accident. Yeah, he wasn't trying to give you a bar. He just did. When they asked him a specific question about what this defense is going to do and what you're going to do on the back end, he said, hey, we're going to keep the chunk plays off the tape. Would a turnover be nice? Yeah, those are nice. But I'm more concerned with not giving up 28 and 40-yard completions like we did routinely last season. I remember week 2. Tucker Kraft. Career day for the Green Bay Packers. You would have thought we never saw and had never seen an athletic tight end before. Because he went ape shit on us. We really haven't stopped the tight end in 20 years, bro. Like, we hate to see an athletic tight end coming. It's our worst nightmare. Hopefully that's about to change with the defense that we're running now, but more importantly, with the athletic upgrades that have been made to the linebacker position. Hopefully that's all about to change. But nothing's more disheartening than getting a team to 3rd and 12 and then giving up a 22-yard completion, which we did routinely against the Atlanta Falcons in week 4. Nothing is more disheartening than having a team right where you want them on third down and then giving up a deep ball like we did against Dallas in week 6 or 7. Nothing is worse than, scratching and clawing your way back into a game and then the opponent being ready to settle for a field goal and you give up a damn touchdown like we did against Dallas in week 7. Nothing sucks more than a simple dump down into the flats to the running back that turns into a 42-yard touchdown and opens the floodgates in a game that you felt like you had complete control in and ultimately lose by 1 point. These are all the things, or 2 points. I think it was 24-22 that game ended up being. Whatever the case may be, whatever the hell the score was, 24-23, 24-22. Who gives a shit? We lost. Chunk plays were at the core of the demise of this defense last year. We harped on all of the damn, lack of turnovers and this, that, and the third, but we gave up chunk plays last season by the truckloads. First thing he wants to do is take those chunk plays off the tape. Keep them off the tape. This secondary is going to be a huge part of the reason why you're able to do that. So the real question then becomes, do we have cornerback concerns? Or are these guys about to be scheme superstars? Because if we're being honest with one another, there's one out of these 4 corners that we currently have. And my goal was to play the soundbite, but I've told you about this already, and you can go hunt it down, right? I can tell you where to go to find it, but cornerbacks coach William Gay, during assistant coaches media day, in particular, was talking to Candy Waller. So you can go to Candy's Bowie TV channel. You find her defensive assistant coach media day video. She did a great job of separating offense, defense, special teams. Go find the defensive assistant coach media day video and go listen to William Gay talk about this cornerback group. And the thing that jumped out to me, first of all, I love William Gay. He feels like a player, right? He's not that far removed. Even though he is, he doesn't feel like it. He feels like another one of the guys. And I think they can respond to that. They can relate to him because he played the game and they understand where he's coming from and vice versa. That said, the thing that stuck out to most from him was when he said, hey, we don't have depth. That's not new news. That's not telling us something we didn't already know, but to hear a coach admit it sends off bells and whistles, because generally coaches try to act as if they do have a ton of depth. Go talk to Anthony Lynn and he'll tell you, oh, we got all these players at running back. Bullshit. We do have a deep room, but all of them ain't making the team. All of them ain't making the squad. And furthermore, okay, so you do think the running back position is deep. You love McNichols and you love Jerome Ford, 2 guys that more likely than not won't make this roster, but don't count out Jeremy McNichols, as we know. They love him. They love them some Jeremy McNichols, so don't count him out. But let's just say those 2 don't make the roster, but you love your depth. Something happens to one of the 3 guys that does make the roster. You got 2 guys that you feel very comfortable pulling up from the practice squad. Okay, cool. But the high-level talent isn't there at running back, at least not right now. I think everybody has a specific niche. We're going to talk about the running back position at a later date and time. But back to the corners. William Gay said, we don't have any depth. But the guys that we do have, we believe in them and what they're capable of doing within the framework of this scheme. That, to me, is the key to all of this. Because if we're being honest with each other, of the 4 corners that we currently have that we think make up the core group of corners that we're going to see on the field this upcoming season for the Commanders in 2026. Those names are, in no particular order, Mike Sainristil, Trey Amos, Amik Robertson, Akello Witherspoon. Those are your 4 corners. Past those 4, we have no idea what the hell we have here. If you were to ask me right now, who's the 5th corner, if they're assuming they're keeping the 5th right now, there isn't a 5th corner to be kept. I would tell you that that guy is not on the roster currently, and that guy will come from someone else's slew of roster cuts around the league when everyone trims their roster down to 53. That's what I would tell you about the 5th cornerback. That's how little depth we currently have. One of these young boys could step up. One of these guys that's been around for a couple of years, like Darius Rush, could step up. Carlin Vigors, who's been here now his 2nd year, he could step up. Who knows? We'll see. But ultimately, you got 4. And of those 4, the only guy right now that is scheme diverse, meaning you could put him in a primarily man cover defense. You could put him in a zone-based defense. It doesn't matter. The only guy that is scheme diverse that can run with Justin Jefferson, and I'm not saying he could cover him, I'm just saying he could run with him, got the size to be able to fight with a Mike Evans, got the quickness and the agility to be able to stay in front of a smaller jitterbug receiver like a Zay Flowers. It's Trey Amos. All the rest of these dudes have deficiencies that make them scheme dependent. Amik Robertson will get out there and he'll fight with you, and he's feisty, and as Durante Jones called him, he's a dog. He's undersized. There's no way around it. You put a bigger wide receiver on him, and there is only so much that he can do. So the fact of the matter is, do we have cornerback concerns? Is this group not enough? Or is this scheme going to produce these guys and present them as superstars within the framework of what they're being asked to do in Durante Jones's defense? If the front does their job and they apply pressure and they create chaos and havoc for the quarterback, if they're able to, and we've heard this from DQ and Durante and some of the players thus far about how they're communicating. DQ has said multiple times he loves the way that the defense is interacting, how they're changing the looks pre-snap, trying to confuse the offense. They're playing chess games between Jaden and the offense and the defense and Durante and the guys, calling the plays, the green dots and whatnot, communicating. If they're able to nail that pre-snap movement and everybody's on the same page, because it takes a smart defense, one that is highly communicative, one that communicates. I'm not going to be able to get that word out. And it was going to keep kicking my ass. One that communicates. If you're not a defense that communicates at the highest of levels, you will give up big plays. There will be coverage busts. So all it takes is one guy out of the 11 to not get the call, to be playing the wrong coverage while everybody else is doing something, and boom, somebody's running wide ass open. And if that quarterback has enough time to find the breakdown in the coverage, you're giving up a big play. We saw it all last year. Somebody not being where they were supposed to be. I can think of at least 2 instances where Trey Amos just blew coverage. He wasn't where he was supposed to be. And on a 3rd down, we give up 24 yards on a play that had no business picking up more than 6. Simple miscommunication, or guys' eyes, bigger than they need to be, seeing too much. They tell you, the more you see, the more trouble you find yourself in, right? See less, play fast. See more, play slow, right? if they can find a way to create the kind of chaos up front that we've seen in Minnesota, and again, that's Minnesota. We can't assume that that's what's going to happen here. That's what we hope is going to happen here, but we can't assume because we don't have all of the pieces. We've already laid this out. Like we keep talking about who's going to be Andrew Van Ginkel, right? And we keep, oh, maybe it's Kayvon Chason, maybe it's this guy, maybe it's Frankie, maybe it's that guy. We still don't know who the hell is going to be this team's Dirty Harry. Who's Harrison Smith? Because to me, he was the real superstar of that defense. They got away with a lot of shit because of Harrison Smith. That guy does not exist on this roster, and I love Nick Cross. He is not Harrison Smith. They keep telling me that Will Harris is a master communicator. Okay, that's cool. What does that even mean? Outside of getting everybody lined up. I can reassure you of this when we talk about corners. Now, again, does this bode well for us? I don't know. But I can tell you this. In this defense, the position group that has the least amount of responsibility in terms of, you know, having to understand what's going on, disguise things pre-snap, there's a little bit of movement, right? You might be pressed up at the snap and then you shift and then you look like you're pressing and then you're bailing at the snap. You know, like there's some of that going on, right? There's some alignment where it looks like, okay, they might be playing cover two. He's not going to carry this receiver. And then all of a sudden the quarterback thinks, yeah, this receiver is going to, you know, break open and get into that honey hole that we talk about behind the corner and in front of that safety, right? And all of a sudden he holds on to it a tick longer because he's waiting for that guy to run, you know, a smash concept and that corner be wide open. And all of a sudden that corner outside is snugged up right underneath that. He sagged all the way underneath that. He's like, damn, I thought this was cover two. It looked like it. Or I thought this was cover, you know, 4, right? Some form of cover 3, cover 4. And all of a sudden, I think I've got something easy in the flats. I let it go. And all of a sudden, the corner out there didn't run with that route that was supposed to force him to carry all the way up and leave the flats exposed. He sagged underneath, right? He dropped down into the flats and he took that football away. If they can do their job, which is basically stay deeper than the deepest, wider than the widest, play top down, keep everything in front of them. This is why he talked about, because this defense with the corners in particular is not hard. It's not rocket science. Your job is to keep everything in front of you and tackle. And to tackle. That's going to keep those big plays off the tape. If you do your job and stay deeper than the deepest, they're going to get some completions in front of you. Those are going to happen. Your job is to rally up and tackle. If it's not something leading them towards out of bounds, you go up, you make a tackle. If it's a 6-yard gain, it shouldn't turn into a 26-yard gain because you're going to make the tackle, right? I worry about that because Trey Amos wasn't the best at that last year. Amik Robertson's tackle numbers were not great last year. Some of that was skewed because he had a club on his hand and he played with a broken hand towards the end of the season, but that's nor here nor there. The bottom line is part of the job and the responsibility in this particular defense of the corner is to tackle. And there's going to be a fair share of tips and overthrows in this defense. Can you be ready when those opportunities present itself to take it away? You're going to have opportunities to jump routes. You got help behind you. You can be aggressive. If this route happens, we want you to jump it. If it's a double move, don't worry. There's a safety behind you, but we want you to jump this post. If it's a post corner and you get got, cool. It's a safety over the top. Let him handle the corner route. You jump that post, and if they throw it, you go get it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You go get it. We want you jumping this out. If it's an out and up, you got a safety over the top. Be aggressive. Go get it. Now, if you don't have help and you the last line of defense and you playing quarters, and that's your quarter of the field, you can't be super aggressive. You got to be a little bit cautious. And once that ball is released, then you can attack it. I know Mikey can play top-down coverage. I've watched him do it. We watched him do it last year. And at a much higher clip, we watched him do it in his rookie season. So we know Mikey can play top-down defense. I think Trey Amos is much, much better in man coverage than he is zone. But I think last year helped him a little bit in zone awareness. I think there was some coverage busts last year from him. Well, he's just being nosy. I think he's a better corner because of last year. I think you're going to see growth from him this year in that department. But make no mistake about it, he's capable of playing zone just like he is man. And I expect him to play well this season. Amik is going to be interesting. He's going to be interesting to see how they utilize him inside, outside, so forth, so forth. This group, to me, I think has one of the heavier burdens to carry this year. Because while their task isn't as complicated as, say, safety or linebacker in this scheme, they're put, like, if we are to assume, and we shouldn't make this assumption, but I'm guilty because we just think of Brian Flores' defense and we copy and paste it. But there's going to be different, wrinkles to this. He's told us, I've learned from a lot of guys, and I've taken bits and pieces from all my walks of football life, and I've crammed it all into this one pot, mixed it up, and I'm calling it mine. And to that point, in Brian Flores' defense, he asked a lot of the corners to hold up on the outside. It wasn't man, but if you go cover zero, which they did quite a bit in Minnesota, and you tell your corners, all right, play off at 7 yards, you basically manned up across the board. If they throw something quick, you got to tackle. If you don't, it's a touchdown. If they try to throw something deep, you're already deeper than the deepest. Go get it. Go play the football. Go make a play. And if you arrive at the same time as the football, arrive violently, make something happen. Right? Brian Flores put his corners in that situation quite a bit. Even when it wasn't cover zero, it looked like it. And times where it looked like it was. If he plans on doing that, if Durante plans on doing that, can these boys hold up? Are they capable? I'm not as concerned with this group from a depth standpoint, even though that could be tested very quickly. It's one of the positions on this roster right now that we could ill afford, a slew of injuries. I'm not really that concerned from a depth standpoint as much as I am substance. Like, can these dudes hold up for what is being asked of them? Because there's nowhere to turn. If somebody's struggling, there's no Noah Igbenogany to turn to like there was in the past. Hey, get him out the game, man. Vato Davis can't tackle. Get him out. We can put in a Kello Witherspoon. Then what? Remember, it was Get Benjamin St. Juice out, he stinks. You put in Vato Davis, he stinks. Then you go to Noah Igbenogany. We don't have that luxury. Let alone an injury happens. And again, don't let it be Mikey or Amik that suffers an injury, because they're the ones that's supposed to allow us to have versatility. They're the ones that's supposed to be able to play inside and out. None of us want to see Mikey back in the slot. None of us want to see Mikey back in the slot. Especially if they're going to use him the way that they tried to use him last year, which is playing a bunch of man. Nobody wants to see that shit. Now, if you're going to allow Mikey to play zone and you're going to allow Mikey to, play with, vision on the quarterback, you're going to allow Mikey to be a robber of sorts, then yeah. If you're going to use Mikey as a blitzer, which I think they're going to use Nick Cross as down by the line of scrimmage, then yeah, I'm okay with not Mikey going into the slot. But you're going to ask Mikey to cover. We've seen that movie and we know how it ends. We don't need to see another sequel to that shit. So ultimately, I said all of that to say this, because I feel like I'm talking in circles now. I'm going to ask you the question. Where are you with this cornerback group? And again, time will tell. We really don't know. Pads haven't gone on. It's hard to assess this group and anything that, we've heard to this point because one, pads aren't on. Two, they can't even break up passes right now. The spring is set up for offensive success. We're going to find out how good this group is very early on in camp. You guys will be at some of these practices where they're doing one-on-ones. I want to see how competitive these corners are. Because unlike last year where the defense was getting all the praise and accolades because the offense was so ass, that ain't the case this year. If the defense is actually going out and making plays and the secondary is actually standing tall, it's because they're actually good, not because our receivers are ass. Because that ain't the case this year. They may not be elite, these receivers, right? This group, rather. But they're more than capable of applying pressure. And if this cornerback group stands up tall to that, then I think we got something. If they're getting cooked consistently, we might have issues on our hands. We'll see. I like the feistiness of this group. I like the aggressive nature of how Mikey and Amik play. They play with a sense of urgency that's going to bode well for us. I need Trey to ratchet up that urgency a bit. He's so cool. He plays like he's cool. Sometimes it backfires. Need him to stay healthy this year too. That was another thing for him last year. He dealt with a myriad of injuries. Ultimately succumbed to them around week 10 or so. Need him to stay healthy. Need him to be a part of this thing for the long haul. Hopefully he's ready to go at the start of training camp. Make up for some lost time. Anyway, I digress. Let's quickly get to a couple of announcements. First and foremost, a word from one of our sponsors, Prize Picks. Big shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring this stream. If you are not a member of the Prize Picks family, then you are in luck. Link is in the description of this video and every single video that I do. Use that link to download the app. It's available in states like California and Texas and Florida. And if you're a first-time user, once again, you're in luck. Use the promo code HMA. That's HMA, as you see on the screen, which will open up an opportunity for you to play 5 and get $50 instantly in lineup bonuses when you use the promo code HMA. So I don't know if you guys are privy to the fact that Prize Picks already has week 1 numbers for specific categories, as you see at the top. Pass yards, receiving yards, rush yards, rush TDs plus rush receptions, or rush plus reception TDs, and then sacks and interceptions. All of these numbers are listed for week 1. Not a lot of commanders in here, as you would expect. We have a tough task in week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles. So I wouldn't expect them to have us here. Pass yards week 1, though, Jaden is in here. So you scroll down and you find Jaden 223.5 yards against the Eagles in week 1. Hurts 215.5 against us in week 1. So this I don't think is a reflection of what they think our defense is. I think that's a reflection of Jalen Hurts just not being a prolific passer from a yardage standpoint. Because if you look around the league, that 215 is among the lowest. You got Bryce Young at 195.5. You got Geno Smith at 199.5. Those are two of the lesser offenses in the league. And Cam Ward at 189, again, another offense that struggled mightily last season. And then you got Jackson Dart and Malik Willis is probably the lowest of anybody. 178.5 is probably the lowest. And they probably will, the Dolphins, have the worst offense in football this year. And then you got Jackson Dart at 212.5, and then Jalen Hurts. So again, you got a bunch of really inept offenses or young quarterbacks or a combination of the two. Then you got Hurts. Then you got Jaden, right? And Jaden's right there with Josh, Allen and some of the other guys. But going to be interesting because Jaden has always struggled. Some of his worst games of his young NFL career have come on the road at Philadelphia. So thought he played well in the playoff game, but didn't matter. Struggled in the regular season game there in 2024 and wasn't his sharpest, I will say, in the NFC Championship game, but he played well enough for us to win and be in that game. Receiving yards. This is an interesting one for Terry, week 1, because we really don't know what to expect. All right, we really don't know what to expect. They got Terry at 59.5 receiving yards in week 1 versus Philadelphia, and I'll be honest with you, I could easily see him eclipsing that. I could easily see him having 32 yards receiving in week 1. For all of this shit, and it's hard for me to envision Terry not having 60 yards in week 1 just because of the amount of emphasis that was put on getting Terry to football by David Blau. To come out in week 1 and not fulfill that prophecy that would be a bad omen to me. So I think you got 2 weeks to prepare, or multiple weeks to prepare for this Eagles game in week 1. And I think a big part of the game plan is to get Terry involved early and often. So I'd take the more on this one, but we've seen enough of Terry in his NFL career here to know that it's nothing for Terry to start the season off 7 for 48. We've seen it so many times. Let's see if they got anything from Bill or any of the running backs for that matter. I think we saw that they didn't have a rush total for any of the running backs for the season. Jaden was the only one. And the same thing here. Jaden's the only one. This has to change. This has to change. We have to start getting running backs. And this is, we deserve this. We earned this, right? They have no idea what to do with our running backs. So they threw our quarterback up there. Anyway, I digress. You can follow me over on Prize Picks at LouieTeeNetwork. That's at LouieTeeNetwork on Prize Picks, so you can see what I got going on, what kind of selections I'm making. You want to tell me, you can, or if you just want to follow and watch my demise, that's also okay, right? Anyway, shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring this stream. So another quick announcement before we move on. Commander King's annual toast to the season is coming up August the 23rd in the heart of DC at Hook Hall. Get your tickets now. They're available. Link is in the description of this video. Early bird tickets are available, $60. Gets you in the building. $75 once the calendar turns to August. So get them now while they're $60. Take advantage of that early bird special. We're gonna have so much fun at this event, man. We are so lit, man. I'm telling you, the Kings are so excited. We talk about it every day about, wanting to do this and doing that, and just, how dope this is gonna be. And we want you to be a part of it, man. Big shout out to the Legion, the Mob, and all of the viewers that support the Commanders Kings, that support the Louie T Network. We look forward to seeing y'all there in attendance. It's been so much fun, chopping it up with y'all. We had a blast last night doing the Commanders Kings show, and this event is going to be times 10 because we're in person. And again, we've only been in each other's presence one time together, and that was last year, and that shit was magical. We're going to do it again this year. And the big highlight of the night, in addition to talking about the roster, predictions for the season, etc., is going to be our signature drink contest that we're going to have. We're so excited about that. Ed's going to have the chair shot. Rico's going to have the ATL hole. Rio's going to have the Rio Rita. And yours truly is going to have the TNTF. Remember, with every TNTF, a vegan cookie is awaiting you with your name on it while supplies last, right? So you guys are going to vote on who has the best drink, and we're going to toast to the winner in overtime at the end, and also, in addition to that, toast to the season. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have trivia. We got Burgundy and Gold raffle. So many of you have bought Burgundy and Gold raffle tickets already. Shout out to everyone who's bought tickets. A ton of tickets have already sold. A bunch of raffle tickets. I've been shocked at how many raffle tickets. You guys are really feeling the raffle, and I'm glad you are, because there are going to be some great prizes given out. Spoiler alert, we're going to have some merch at the event, and we're giving some of it away. So again, get into the raffle, see if you can't get your hands on a little bit of merch. So much going on, and we want y'all to be a part of it. So get your tickets. Link is in the description of this video. You want to be a part of this event as a vendor. Same place you buy the tickets is where you would sign up to be a vendor in this event. You can't attend, but you want to support, please do it in that same link on the same site where you buy the tickets, where you can sign up to be a vendor. You can also sponsor this event, right? You can donate to this event, get a shout out, right? Because we want to thank everybody that has their hand in making this event what it ultimately is going to be. So big shout out to all of y'all, man. And we can't wait to see y'all on the 23rd of August. Get your tickets now. Don't procrastinate. Go be great. Get your tickets today. Bart Scott can't wait. All right. Let's get to the comment section. All right. We got no super chats, which is perfect, because I don't want to hold you up any longer. I'm going to let you guys go on your way. It's already 10:30 on a Friday night. Shout out to everybody that held your boy down on a Friday night. Y'all could be anywhere, but y'all kicking it here with me, and I appreciate that. So y'all go enjoy the weekend. And as I told y'all yesterday, but I'm going to say it again right now, be safe. All right. I know a lot of y'all going to be fooling around with firecrackers. First of all, it's hot as shit outside. I don't know if y'all went outside today or yesterday. I got in my car today. It was 110. No, you got to say that right. It was 110 in the whip. Let me say that again. 110. Not with the wind chill, or excuse me, not with the heat index. It was 110 legit in the whip. It was 102 degrees. That was the high where I was, 102 degrees. Yesterday's high was 100. Shit is not a game. If you don't have to be outside, don't. All right? Like Bryson Tiller, don't. If you got to go outside and you got to do something, do it early in the morning or wait till later on at night. Don't be out there in the dead heat of the day, 4 o'clock, at the hottest point of the day, trying to do shit outside. All right? Have fun. Do it responsibly. And then we'll reconvene after the weekend, and we'll come back. We'll talk about it. and then we'll get back to business as usual. All right. Y'all have fun. Enjoy the weekend. And I will see you guys on the other side. Y'all take care. God bless. Peace.